إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم اللهم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. All praise due to Allah and His praise and blessings and peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, his companions and his followers until the day of judgment. I bear witness that Allah is the only one worthy of worship and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is final and last messenger. My dear brothers and sisters, before I start the khutbah, I just want to make sure that you know, those who don't, that when the khutbah starts, you're not supposed to be in your phone. And when the khutbah starts, you're not supposed to be reading from a book or a mushaf or anything like that. It's not allowed and it is forbidden for a person to be engaged in other than listening to the khutbah. And this is something that maybe some people don't know the rules, so it is important for you to be aware of. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came back from Ghar Hira shaking, full of fear, looking for his wife Khadijah radiallahu anha, saying, Zammiluni, Zammiluni, hold me, hold me. She immediately embraced him and she brought her close to her heart, covering him sallallahu alayhi wa sallam until he came down. And when he came down and he stopped breathing normally sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, she said, what happened? حتى إذا ذهب عنه الروع بعد أن ضمته وطمنته صلوات ربي وسلامه عليه. He told her the experience of him seeing Jibreel, the angel Jibreel, when he first came with the revelation to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then she said, don't worry, Allah will never disappoint you. Wallahi la yakhdhuluka Allahu abada. Allah will never forsake you. Allah will never let you down. Then she suggested to him to go to her cousin Waraqah ibn Nawfal. وكان رجلا قد تنصر في الجاهلية. He was a person who studied the book of Musa and Isa in the Bible and the Torah, and he became a Christian. Or some said it means also he studied the book of Musa alayhi salam. He knows what the religion of Moses and Jesus, and he read the Bible in the old days. So he's a person of knowledge of the people of the book. And he told Waraqah ibn Nawfal what he have experienced. فقال له إن هذا هو الناموس الأعظم الذي كان ينزل على موسى. This is the same great angel who used to come with the revelation to Musa alayhi salam. قال يا ليتني أكون فيها حيا يا ليتني أكون فيها جذعا يعني شباب. I wish I will be alive. I wish I will be strong when the time comes when your people force you out of town. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam قال أو مخرجيهم, are my people coming to kick me out of the city, to force me to leave my home, my hometown? Something the Prophet didn't expect. Then he said to him, Naam, yes they will. Indeed they will. Why? فإنه لم يأتي رجل قط بمثل ما جئت به إلا عودي وإن يدركني زمانك أنصرك نصرا مؤزرا. He said, no one will come with the message like this unless his people will turn against him, will be enemy to him. And if I can witness that day, I will make sure to give you and to support you greatly until you become victorious and to grant you victory, to support you fully. أنصرك نصرا مؤزرا, a support that will lead to prevailing, lead to success. And a story reported by Bukhari and others. And there is this unforgettable story, هذه القصة الخالدة, that many of us knows about. I would like to have few points to share and lessons to learn from. Number one, دور المرأة العاقلة في حياة زوجها فهي ملاذ آمن ونفس طيبة ومستشار أمين لزوجها. One of the first lessons that your wife and the role that your wife play and your partner play in your life. If you're still young, not married yet, you're looking for a wife that when a time comes, she will be the best advisor, the best counselor, the best healer, the best supporter, the one who give you the wise counseling. Like Khadijah radiallahu anha did. That's why Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam always remembered her wisdom, her comfort, her support. He used to say, لَقَدْ آوَتْنِي حِينَمَا طَرَدَنِ النَّاسِ وَصَدَّقَتْنِي حِينَمَا كَذَّبَنِ النَّاسِ وآمنت بي حين كفر بي الناس. She believed in me. She knows that I'm saying the truth. She supported me when people said I'm lying, when rejected me, when they didn't believe in me. She did the opposite. Number two, ضرورة أن تجعل زوجتك شريكة لك في حياتك. لا يكفي أن تكون بس شريكة لك في الفراش. It's not, your wife should be your partner in life. And I mean by that you consult her, you share with her the thing that happened to you. Talk to her about your day, talk to her about your concerns. It hurts me when I see so many times cases and families, when I see there's so much gap, they don't know nothing about each other's. They don't know what's going on in your life. They should be basically counseling and sharing with each other's their life and what happened in their life. Number three, and these are quick points just for you to reflect more upon them. ضرورة اللجوء إلى أهل العلم. When this matter came to Khadijah, what Khadijah recommended? Let's go to someone have knowledge of the book, person of knowledge of the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the more you immerse yourself in the book of Allah, the message of Allah, the more wisdom you have, the better understanding that you should be developing as a person of knowledge. And that's a matter so important that we refer matters to Ahlul Ilm. And we should not be pick and choose which matter I refer or which matter I don't. I'm not saying that the people of knowledge knows everything. But should they have the proper respect and also proper counseling and being part. Sometimes people come and talk and he said, I have a question. Then I found it's not a question, it's actually a demand. Or not a question, it is, I already made up my mind. And that's not a right approach. Another lessons from this. دور الشباب في نصرة الدين. I'm still can't go over, no matter how many times I read this story, when he said, I wish I am young at that time. I wish I'm young in age at that time when this happened. Why? Because he understands that young people, young men and women have a major play and a major role to play in society, in community, in supporting the truth, in standing up for what is right, in confronting falsehood, and pushing back on injustice. This religion needs to be not only practiced and held and protected by the uncles and the elders, which is so much barakah in it, but also in the young generation. We should invest in making sure that they are in the front line. And you should not be in the front line just because of your age, but because your commitment. Unfortunately today, many people say, I'm just young. I don't know if I'm responsible enough. ينبغي أن يربى الشباب على أن يكونوا قادة. We raise the young generation to be true leader, to be able to take responsibilities. It is wrong that you think being young it means that I don't need to have to be very religious. I don't have to come to the masjid very often. I don't need to practice everything. There's other people. No, it is you. When you look at the Prophet ﷺ, he was not surrounded by old people. يقول أنس ما كان من أصحاب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم له لحية بيضاء إلا رجل أو رجلين. Only 2 people have white hair, gray hair around the Prophet ﷺ. And the rest were what? Young. Today, those young people in high school and college, this is the time. This is your peak. And that's where you basically should become closer and taking responsibilities and contributing and learning and growing. But just don't be arrogant. Make sure you consult. Make sure you work with the community leaders, with the people more experienced. It is not correct that we think because he's young, I cannot trust them. I cannot give them responsibilities. I cannot advance them. That's not correct. Mu'adh radiallahu anhu, one of the people that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said have read the Quran and learned the Quran from Mu'adh. Mu'adh, the leader of the scholars. Mu'adh was what? 18 years old when he became Muslim. And he died in his early 30s. That's it. People in a young age. Usama, يقول عثمان إنك شاب لا نتهمك. The one who's responsible of the most important, fundamental. I can't even think of words to describe how serious this task is. It's the biggest task in our history. I think this is the biggest task ever in our religion after the task of Muhammad ﷺ delivering the Quran to us and the message to us, which is the preservation of the Quran. That done during Abu Bakr time, then Uthman completed in Uthman time. That's the most important task in history of Islam. Who was responsible for it? Umar? No, Zayd, young man in his 20s. Young man. And he was leading the committee. It's important for us to understand that the importance of, investing and giving. But the youth who are hearing me today, you have to rise up for the responsibility. You have to learn how to be responsible too. There is something much bigger than your games, much bigger than your studies, much bigger than your entertainment life, your clothes. Mus'ab, the first ambassador in Islam, young man. Ali radiallahu anhu, young man. First Muslims, among the early Muslims. Al-Islam was only 4 people, Ali was one of them at one time. Muhammad ibn al-Qasim took Islam to India, Pakistan, all this, Bangladesh, this land of Islam, today the heart of the Muslim world. This part of the world. How Islam arrived with Muhammad ibn al-Qasim was what? 18 years old. When he arrived to the shore and to the land of Sind. Imam Malik used to give fatwa in 21. Al-Bukhari narrating hadith in the age of 18. Al-Shafi'i in the age of 14 giving fatwa. Acquired the knowledge. So much been accomplished. We just lost a dear friend in our community, Shaykh Mushfiq, 27 years old. Finished the Quran, went to South Africa, studied. Grow up among us, accomplished so much in his life that many of us have double his age. We did not accomplish even 10% of that when it comes to the relationship with the Quran and to the deen. And he passed away, rahimahullah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him Jannah and gather us with him in Jannat al-Na'im. ملكنا هذه الدنيا قرونا وأخضعها جدود خالدين شباب سلكوا المعالي وما عرفوا سوى الإسلام دينا شباب لم تحطمه الليالي ولم يسلم إلى الخصم العرينا وإذا جن المساء تراهم من الإشفاق ساجدين كذاك أخرج الإسلام قومي شبابا مخلصا حرا أمينا. Islam have brought a generation of young men and women who are so dedicated to the deen. That's something, that's why you know why he said, I wish I'm young at that time. قولوا ما سمعتم وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وبعد. One of the lessons from this story, when he said to him, your people will force you out of Mecca. It's interesting. It's important for us to plan for the worst and wish for the best. It's important for you to know what might face you in the future. It's important to be basically think about the outcome and what's in the future, to prepare yourself for it. We're very bad in preparing ourselves for disasters, for natural disasters, for things. I think it's important for us to be prepared. Yes, we wish for the best, but we have to prepare also for the worst. We as a community, we should be thinking forward. What would be the worst scenario case? Are we ready for that? Why think Sharia, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us about many things will happen in the future. Ashratu Sa'ah, the sign of the day of judgment. And Nabi sallallahu told us about many things will happen to prepare us for it if it comes. Why he spent so much time to talk about it, Dajjal, about the last days and what will happen, to prepare us for it. But these things you should base your knowledge of it, not based on dreams and feelings and made up stories and rumors. No, based on sound information and sound evidence. And finally, I will end with this. When he said, لم يأتي أحد, or end with two quick points, لم يأتي أحد بمثل ما جئت به إلا عودي. No one come with what you come with unless there is enemy for him. Why they hate us? It's interesting. In Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and before him, look at all the prophets. Musa, Isa, Nuh, all the prophet and messenger have enemy. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, جعلنا عدوا شياطين الجن والإنس. There is enemy from humans and jinn to the prophets and the messenger and their followers. These prophets were not someone who not wise. They were not terrorists. They were not extremists. They did not start war. They did not did anything bad to them. No, still there is enemy. Still there is animosity and they fight them. فقال الذين كفروا لرسلهم لنخرجنكم من أرضنا. We will kick you out of our land. I always wonder why. But it's obvious actually. لأن وجود الحق في ذاته يكشف الباطل. Because you recognize falsehood when you see the truth. You recognize filth when you see purity. You recognize the value of health when you see sickness. You understand what justice means or unjust means when you see justice. You know what is right and you value right when you see wrong. You value freedom when you see dictatorship. You recognize liars when you deal with truthful people and honest people. Al-Haq is consistent. Al-Haq prevail. Al-Haq is like sunshine. You cannot cover it. Falsehood is so weak. It's like a shadow. Much bigger than its real size. That's why when the sun comes out and clear light comes out, it will disappear. And that's why it will never allow and tolerate the existence of Haq. Because just the existence of Haq and justice and right expose the falsehood. And if we understand that, we understand that we will never win everybody's heart. And we will never win everyone. There will be always people who don't like to be in the light. Do not like to leave filth. Do not rise above what is falsehood. Then finally he said, أَنْصُرُكَ نَصْرًا مُؤَزَّرًا. I will give you full support. He died before that day come. But me and you, we living this day. Me and you, we should ask ourselves, Are we giving that full support to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and to his ummah? Do we giving that 100% of ourselves to what is right, to what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought, fought for, stood for sallallahu alaihi wasallam? I'm not going to talk about anybody else except us here as in American Muslims. Do we really give that? We as a community, we are a very unique community. We have a very unique position. We are among the richest, the youngest, the most educated, yet we're the most disorganized. I think that's something should make us think, and I will say it to start with this. How can you give that great victory to Islam and to Muslim and to the causes of Islam? I think it starts, number one, by idrak ahamiyat tahammul al-mas'uliyah, that you feel that I'm responsible for it. It's easy for Waraqah to say, I'm old man, you know, he's not even yet a prophet and messengers. He can find many excuses, but he said, I wish he wanted to be in the battlefield. He wanted to be in the front. He wanted to be in the, you know, in the side of truth when it comes. Some of us run away from it, put his head in the sand, shy away. That's not what you learn from Waraqah. To feel that responsibility, that I have a responsibility towards what this religion came to establish. Have responsibility towards those who abused. As we've been talking about what's happening to our brothers and sisters in Palestine. And I feel the responsibility to give victory and support. I feel responsibility when I saw what happened to our brothers and sisters in Syria before that, in Iraq, and today in Bangladesh, when we see protesters who protest for a very just cause as well, shot in the head. And the list goes on and on. Not only that, I feel responsibility for justice for this young lady who called the police to protect her and to help her since she got shot in her apartment. I feel responsibility to end social injustice that I see. That's what this Islam came to stand for. I feel responsibility to spread the Tawheed and the right Aqidah and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. That to start first and foremost with that feeling. I feel responsibility toward my masjid, toward my community. And I'm required, this big support comes when we are unified. We have the brotherhood. When we have the trust that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is prevailing in His religion. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's religion has al-yad al-ulya fi qulubina. When Allah and His deen have the upper hand in our heart. When we're economically strong, we are politically strong, we are around our scholars, the student of knowledge, we're supporting our community and our centers. When we're active in our da'wah, إن تصبروا وتتقوا لا يضركم كيدهم شيئا. If you have taqwa and you have sabr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised that you will not be harmed by their plotting. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a strength and make it easy for our brothers and sisters in Palestine and our brothers and sisters في غزة. اللهم انصرهم نصرا مؤزرا. اللهم إنا نسألك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام أن تجعل دائرة السوء على من ظلمهم وخذلهم يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم إنا نسألك أن ترفق بإخواننا المستضعفين في سوريا وفي العراق وفي كل مكان يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام أن تدرع نار الحرب والفتنة بين المسلمين في السودان يا ذا الجلال والإكرام وفي بنغلاديش، وأن تحق الحق وتعلي أهله وأن تكسر راية الباطل والظلم يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم إنا نسألك يا حي يا قيوم أن تفرج عن هم المهمومين وكرب المكروبين، وأن تفرج عن الأسار المظلومين، وأن تردهم إلى أهليهم منصورين يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم إني نسألك يا حي يا قيوم أن تغفر لنا ولأهلنا ولوالدينا، وأن تصلح ذرياتنا وأعمالنا، وأن تقينا شر الفتن ما ظهر منها وما بطن. وصل اللهم وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وقوموا للصلاة يرحمكم الله.